I used to drive all over town for low prices, but now I let Walmart's incredible new Savings Catcher do the work for me. I just enter my Walmart receipt online and Savings Catcher does the rest. It compares the prices I paid for items at Walmart with advertised prices from other top stores in my area. And if Savings Catcher finds a lower advertised price, Walmart gives me the difference on an e-gift card. Now that's my kind of work.
Introducing Savings Catcher from Walmart. Go to walmart.com/savingscatcher for details. Eligible items only. Restrictions apply.
It's time for Money for Lunch, where we feed your brain and your business with supersized portions of business and financial news. Now your host, Bert Martinez.
Guys, welcome to Money for Lunch. You know what? I have to tell you, it's kind of a, down day today here at Money for Lunch. We're all in a kind of a somber mood after the apparent suicide of Mr. Robin Williams. We had heard yesterday during our show that he had been found dead, and we didn't want to release any information until we had our facts straight or until we had actually gotten some details. And by the time we got the details, so did everybody else. He was found dead and apparently from asphyxia, and still waiting for the details, but it's just a sad thing, and it just goes to show you that how powerful the voices in our head can become, right? How powerful evil is in the world. Here's a gentleman who was obviously full of light and really caused millions of people to have a happier time, to laugh and to smile. And he really wrestled with depression for many years. It's an off and on thing. And he had everything that most of us would want, right? He loving family. He had money. He had certainly fame, loved by millions, and truly adored by many. But for whatever reason, he felt that he could no longer go on. And so, my point being to all this is that it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call to those individuals who are wrestling with depression, that maybe help is what you need to go and do. Get some help. If you know somebody who's wrestling with depression, go and get help. I don't understand depression, so you may not either, and we don't have to. There are other people out there to help. So don't rely on anybody else. Go out and get help. All right. Well, enough of that. Also got a message from our great people there at Blog Talk Radio in New York, our headquarters, that one of the backup ISPs went down this morning, causing a major site-wide outage. So if you're having problems calling in, you have to keep trying because they're having issues. That's the great thing about technology. Let's see. Anyway, so that's basically it. I just really want to thank you guys and for listening in to Money for Lunch. I appreciate you guys checking us out on Twitter and on Facebook and your interaction, your messages, and sometimes your great story ideas. And so just a real quick note, something else that was brought to mind, that there's the latest crime spree called Sliders. And this, you have to see this. You can go to Money for Lunch and see the video. You can find it on YouTube. It's called Sliders. And what these guys do is, most of us, especially women and businessmen, okay, we tend to put, if we're driving solo, we tend to put our stuff on the passenger side. I don't know why I say businessman. I'm thinking of a briefcase, but I guess businesswomen too. But these sliders typically target women because they tend to put their purse on the passenger side, right? And so while you're pumping gas, they slide in, open your door, and slide out. They grab your bag, grab your phone, and they slide right out. It's amazing. They've caught they've caught a bunch of these people on camera, but they haven't captured a lot of these people because they're in and out so quick, and all you see is these darkened figures. And so just be aware that now when you're getting gas, do not assume your car is safe just because you're right next to it pumping gas. Lock your doors anyway, or at least lock your passenger doors, right? It's a crazy, crazy time out there. All right, enough of that. Let's David Lorms, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Thank you. Glad to be a part of the show.
Anyway, so I don't know how much anybody heard. I just realized for some reason your mic got turned off, my mic got turned off, so hopefully people heard the intro there. But if not, let's start that over again because it's important to know what I said here because as I said earlier is that we're always fortunate to have great guests on the show. You're no different. Dave Lorms is an award-winning insurance agent, insurance specialist, best-selling author, and former claims adjuster. He's also been featured all over the nation on NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox affiliates, as well as Forbes magazine, as well as on the Brian Tracy Show. So, Norm, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Well, thank you very much. Happy to be here.
All right, so let's dive into this. What makes David Lorms different from any other insurance agent?
You know, there are hundreds, thousands of insurance agents all over the place. I think everyone knows probably 10 off the top of their head. So you have to really make yourself different than your competition. And what I do to make myself different is I definitely get heavily involved in the community. I'm involved with schools, donating time and money. I am a former claims adjuster, so anyone can sell you insurance, but it's when you need to use it that you really count on a seasoned professional to be behind you during those difficult times. In fact, I feel so strongly about that after hours I roll all the calls to my cell phone so you can always reach me. I'm bilingual, so I can speak with all of our Spanish-speaking customers here in Texas. And I am constantly learning.
David? See, with a name like Lorms, it reminds me of norms, and, so I go off like that. All right, well, we'll see what's going to happen here. We're having some intermittent technical difficulties, and we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back right after this.
Did you bring the camera phone?
I did.
Do you want to go first?
I've been waiting for this all day.
Okay, this is Rose and Stacy.
Introducing Chase Quick Deposit. Just photograph the front and back of your check using the Chase mobile app on your iPhone and hit send.
It went through?
So cool.
This is so cool. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, it was nice.
Make a deposit from anywhere, anytime with your iPhone.
To Mr. and Mrs. Walker, why would they send my parents a check?
Chase what matters.
Well, I'm not sure what it is. I guess I'll be okay.
I'm calling the studio, Matthew. You're not shooting today.
Just get some rest.
He bought it. Hi, can I get my CRV brought up, please? Roderick. Life is packed with things you have to do.
But sometimes you gotta live a little.
Matthew, you poor thing. That's awful.
How could I resist?
Look, I don't know what to tell you. He's sick. Actors get sick sometimes.
Thanks. Have a good night. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Get going in the all-new CRV from Honda.
Okay, guys, we are back. Like I said, the good folks there at Blog Talk Radio, they're in New York, are experiencing some technical difficulties, which may affect our show today. They're one of their backup super servers or something gave them some trouble, so we're having a little bit of a challenge. So if you're calling in and you're getting a busy signal, all I can tell you is I apologize. Call back again and keep trying. We're back with David Lorms. David, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. So you were telling us about your bilingualness, that you're able to speak to Spanish customers, which separates you from a lot of your, competition?
My competition,
and let's
that's
talk
right. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, and also I am really big into giving back to the community. I donate my time and money to several of the local elementary schools. I've created a Perfect Attendance Award program where students are awarded for perfect attendance. The schools are not given any money in their budget to incentivize the students to attend, yet the schools are paid by the state by the number of students that do attend. So I provide money for those schools to incentivize the students to get there. And of course,
I just love that. Isn't that just perfect government programming there? We get paid by how many students show up, but let's not have any money or any ways to incentivize our students to actually show up.
It's frustrating.
So that's a fantastic way. So tell me about this. So you created this award. Obviously, that's a great way for your name to be
associated
connected
with the community and giving back to the schools, because they really need the extra money and support.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I think it's great. It's a win-win. It wins for the school. It wins for the David Lorms brand name. So it's a win-win. It's a fantastic way to give back to the public, give back to the community in such a meaningful way. I mean, this is something that. Go ahead.
It wins for the student too. Of course, if they're there, they're learning.
Well, and that's what I meant by winning for the school, because obviously, if the kids are attending, they are learning. And that's really the focus. Is that you're right? It is a win for the school, it's a win for the students, and it's a win for your brand. So that was inspirational right there. If you guys are listening and you're wondering what you can do, this may be a program that you may want to do for your own area, because this is something that you can do. You're doing it per an individual school or two, or is it statewide?
Well,
tell me about your program.
There's 2 elementary schools that I do this with, and with a middle school. But since I'm involved in the schools with the Perfect Attendance program, I also am there on Parents' Night with my booth, and I'm handing out either school supplies or safety information to the parents with my farmer's table set up. And I'm not there to collect business or leads. I'm simply there to show that I'm giving back to the community. And that makes a really good impression among the community to see, hey, he's not here just to earn a buck. He's here to give back. And so that's one thing I tell my clients, hey, when you buy from me, some of that money comes back to you.
Yes. All right, so let's talk about this real quick, because I know this is, for a lot of us, a little challenging. Let's talk about coverage. I know for a lot of people are going, oh, my gosh, we're going to talk about insurance coverage. But let's talk about this just a little bit, because it is important. What types of coverage do you suggest for your clients, and why?
Well, the reason why, the coverages that I definitely suggest is it's mandatory that you have liability, but the state has a minimum. And particularly in Houston, it's the 4th largest city in the nation, and I see a lot of people with the minimum limits, which is $25,000 worth of coverage for property damage done to others. So I never sell that. I always upsell that, because if you hit a Mercedes, well, you'd run out of money, and you personally would be responsible for the difference. And I don't think anybody wants to do that. And I've had people tell me, well, let them sue me. My furniture is cardboard box, and I live in a tent. Let them sue me. Well, they'll set up payments. So you really need to consider. And a lot of times, if you have higher coverage, it's cheaper than having the lower coverage. So I always suggest higher liability limits. Uninsured motorist is definitely important, because there are a lot of people that are driving around without insurance or insurance in force, and you want to make sure that if you're having to pay liability by state mandate, you might as well pay the money to cover yourself. If someone is hit that's involved.
And things like uninsured motorists and underinsured is minimal type cost, correct?
Right. It's one of the cheapest parts of the whole insurance package. So it only makes sense to do that. And then I also am a big proponent of higher deductibles. We all had $500 deductibles, and parents had $500 deductibles. Well, that was a way for people to keep their premium lower by participating in the repair costs. Well, as repair costs have gone up over time, we haven't with our deductibles. So if you're someone that's not having an accident every year, my recommendation is to have a higher deductible, like $1,000, knowing that if you had to pay that, you wouldn't have to sell your house and go live under a bridge, and then pay yourself that money, not the insurance company, for a what-if scenario. So I am a proponent of higher deductibles, and of course, towing is a minimal cost. It's roadside assistance. It's a no-brainer. And then you should always maximize your rental car coverage, because usually the maximum level of coverage is the minimum amount that the rental car company will accept without you having to pay extra money. So that's my recommendation.
It is a funny way how that works out. I'm telling you guys, if your car's in the shop for 10 days, and 10 days is a fairly quick turnaround, and you absolutely need a large car, then having $300 maximum coverage for rental is not going to cut it. You're going to be out of money, within just a few days.
Right, and it often only pays for temporary transportation. So if you drive a Lamborghini, you're not going to get one to rent. It's minimum transportation. So a lot of people are confused about that.
Right. Well, and that's right. What do you call it? Let's see. It's amazing to me. That people really think that, hey, I am driving a Lamborghini, or I'm driving a, whatever high-end car, and so they really expect to get the same high-end car at the rental car counter.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I don't know Avis or Enterprise. Enterprise is very big in these rental replacement areas, but you figure Avis, rent-a-car, Avis, Dollar, Enterprise, and National, Alamo. I travel quite a bit, so I know all these car companies. I don't know any of them that have Lamborghinis, Bugattis, even Mercedes, or any of these high-end cars. They don't have BMWs. Why? Because generally, most people don't rent them.
That's right. So a lot of people are confused about that, and are disappointed when they realize that they're going to get a Hyundai when they drive a Cadillac.
That's right. All right. So let's talk about this. You know what? And my engineer is giving me the look, and so because of our technical difficulties, David, we're going to cut. We're out of time. We're a little bit over for our next segment, so we're going to say goodbye to you, and we'll try to schedule you back another time where we didn't have all these little blips, and talk more about protecting ourselves. David Lorms, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Guys, we're off and running. Great stuff there from David Lorms on how to protect yourself. And really, if you have the minimum coverage, in most states, you're just asking for problems. You're asking for money to come out of your pocket. There's a huge amount of people that are underinsured as well as uninsured. So take that consideration. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Attorney Hal Campbell right after this.
Did you bring the camera phone?
I did.
Do you want to go first?
I've been waiting for this all day.
Okay, this is Rose and Stacy.
Introducing Chase Quick Deposit. Just photograph the front and back of your check using the Chase mobile app on your iPhone and hit send.
It went through?
So cool.
This is so cool. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, it was nice.
Make a deposit from anywhere, anytime with your iPhone.
To Mr. and Mrs. Walker, why would they send my parents a check?
Chase what matters.
Welcome back to Geico Radio. It's savings on the radio.
Call us, Steve.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just got a free rate quote on Geico.com. Saved a ton, and it only took me 5 minutes and 12 seconds. I was wondering, is that some sort of record?
That's a good question. Let's have a look.
Not quite. Someone's got you beat by 8 seconds.
Still, I mean, that's quite fast.
Well, what if I told you I only use one hand?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
Guys and gals, we're back. Hal Campbell. Harold E. Campbell graduated from the University of Arizona Law School. Been practicing law for 36 years. He's a certified bankruptcy specialist by the State Bar of Arizona. Besides bankruptcy, he also represents clients before the Internal Revenue Service regarding offers and compromise and levy and lien problems. He represents both individuals and businesses in liquidation and reorganization. He is a member of the National Association of Consumer Bankruptcy Attorneys and the American Bankruptcy Institute. Hal Campbell, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Hello, Bert. Can you hear me okay?
All right, well, what's that?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, you sound great.
Oh, excellent.
Good to have you on the show.
Yep. I saw we had the technical difficulties earlier, so I was hoping I'd be here loud and clear.
Yeah. Now, of course, that is subject to change without notice. It's a great thing about doing a live show that, anything that can happen will happen at times. But let's talk about this.
Yes,
I want to dive into this. What are the two types of bankruptcy, and why do people, and we're talking about larger corporations here, and we're not talking about corporations, file bankruptcy. Right. So walk us through this.
Well, kind of building on what David Lorms said, where you need to do things to actually protect yourself. Bankruptcy is a federal law that gives a lot of actual protection for people. You've got a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which basically allows you to have a discharge of your debts, get a fresh start. Then you've got reorganization bankruptcies where you reorganize, you pay off some of the debts over time. It also allows you to get your life back in order. And what people don't often realize here, Bert, is that bankruptcies can do a lot of extra things. If you're having a house you're about to lose, the bank's going to foreclose on it. We can help there and save it. You see these ads all the time on TV and the radio. If you owe the IRS over $15,000, we can help. Special IRS types of programs. Bankruptcy is also something that can often take care of, satisfy the IRS debt. So really, it's a very good federal set of laws to help individual consumers protect themselves.
All right, well, walk me through this. Okay, so here I am. I'm struggling to pay my house. It's now into foreclosure. I call up Hal Campbell, say, Hal, my house is in foreclosure, and how will bankruptcy help me?
Well, what we do in there is we look at the Chapter 13 reorganization bankruptcy. Now, whenever you file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, the moment, the second, the instant you file, an injunction comes out called the automatic stay, which stops all collection, including foreclosure actions. So what we do in the Chapter 13 is we put a stop on the actual foreclosure. There's going to be a bunch of payments you're behind on, 6, 7, 8 months. We're going to make those up over a 5-year period, so it's something you can handle more. And also, while you're in the Chapter 13, when you've got the automatic stay protection here, we can also use this to try and enter some of the federal programs, the HARP, the HAMP, to get an actual loan modification here. So 13 allows you to keep your house.
Gotcha. Now, for what I'm hearing, though, this is provided that you can now catch up and continue to make payments moving forward. I mean, even though you may get a reduction because of these other federal programs, you really need to have money to move forward to stay compliant with your Chapter 13, correct?
That is right. In fact, 13s are sometimes called a wage earner plan in that you need a regular source of income. If indeed you have no income whatsoever, you're probably going to lose the house. But then we use the Chapter 7 to protect you, to make sure that after the foreclosure's up, you don't owe the bank extra money.
Gotcha. Now, let's talk about this, because you mentioned the IRS a few minutes ago. How does bankruptcy affect back taxes and things of that nature?
Now, what a lot of people don't actually realize, Bert, is that in a bankruptcy, this is your Chapter 7, your Chapter 13, if the tax is over 3 years old, so say if we're in 2014, we have tax for 2009, 2010, if it's over 3 years old and you've timely filed your tax returns, I can discharge that in a bankruptcy just like any other debt. And the alternative is, these are these things you hear on TV all the time. It's a IRS program called Offer in Compromise. And in this IRS-run program, they will allow you, the IRS, to pay a smaller amount than what's due based on a weird formula they have. And the problem with this is you're dealing with the IRS, who doesn't particularly want it to work. If I can get older tax debt put in a bankruptcy, I ain't dealing with the IRS anymore, and I like that.
Right. And you also have, a little bit of a buffer, like you said. You're not dealing with the IRS. You have judges. You have federal laws, that protect your client. Because I have heard and I have seen that the IRS will sometimes forget that they are bound by law. It seems to me that sometimes that the IRS will overreach. I mean, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like some cases in different stories that I've read that they are such a powerful agency that maybe due process is something that maybe they don't comply with all the time, or maybe they're not mandated to comply with all the time. Bottom line is the difference that if somebody owes me money, I have to file a lawsuit and get a judgment before I can go after their we call it go after them. But the IRS seems to have special powers where they can just say, hey, you owe this money.
IRS doesn't need that.
Yeah.
Right. IRS
is that right? So they don't have to deal with they don't have to deal with due process.
No, and the problem is that many of the IRS agents in the collection section, they know about the power they have, and it kind of goes to their head, and they like to have that power. Some agents you can work with fine, but other ones are very, very difficult. Yes, there are certain procedures they're supposed to follow, but they forget that the ultimate goal is to try and collect some tax, not put somebody out of business, not to take somebody's house, not to turn them out on the street. And that's where, if I can use either the Chapter 7 bankruptcy to wipe it out, or I can use a Chapter 13 where I can make them take payments over a reasonable amount of time, then I'm not dealing with the IRS as the boss. I've got my bankruptcy judge as the boss who understands these things.
Right. All right, so let's talk about another little federal program called the student loans. How can bankruptcy help with student loans? Because you hear these stories all the time where some of these people have graduated, now they owe $50,000, $80,000, $120,000 in student loans, and they can't get a job. And now the student loans are after them.
And the student loans are the bane of my existence, because the student loan lobby, both the federal and the private loans, is so strong that they have taken away almost all the power I used to have to handle student loans in a bankruptcy. Used to be that after a 7-year period, if you tried to pay the student loans, I could discharge them in bankruptcy. They took that away from us in 1994, and then in 2005, they also said that private student loans, say with, the banks and so forth, they aren't government-backed, those are also a non-dischargeable debt. You can wipe out a student loan in bankruptcy with what's called a hardship, but the hardship discharge is so difficult to get that unless you don't have any arms or legs, you're not going to get that. So the problem that I'm seeing now is that since 2005, all of the private lenders suddenly say, we have loans that can't be wiped out in a bankruptcy. So they've been packaging all these loans, and they push you very hard to take out these loans. They package them just like they used to package all of the mortgages 11 years ago or so, sell them to a bunch of investors, and the collection process is very harsh, unlike the government-backed student loans, where there are at least some government programs, forbearance and stuff, refinancing. We don't have that in the private sector, and it's becoming a gigantic problem. We have certain bills in Congress now that if they ever got through Congress, and we know what that situation is, it would restore bankruptcy protection to the student loans, but we don't have that now, or excuse me, private student loans.
Right. Yeah, you know that you're dealing with some strong political power when the student loan industry is out-mustered the IRS when it comes to bankruptcy protection. I mean, that speaks a lot, doesn't it? I mean, that just says volumes to me. Oh my gosh! I mean, that's just what a time to wake up and smell the coffee, because there's, like you said, there's, they make it very alluring. You said they package these loans, they make them look sweet, and you have people who are hopeful that they're going to get a job, and sometimes things don't work out. And now you have this massive debt and no protection. Right, that's just crazy.
For the first time in history, Bert, the student loan debt exceeds credit card debt in this country, and that's brand new.
No way.
Yes. So it's really a problem. Hopefully, Congress can address this, because when you've got 100,000 plus and you've got interest coming on and default interest coming on, you're never going to catch up, and it drains what your family needs to survive.
You know what? I'm just stunned by what you just said here, that the first time in history our student loan debt is bigger than our credit card debt. Yes,
it is. And a lot of that comes from the private student loan industry, which has just blossomed since 2005.
Yeah, and you're unprotected. You have no way to escape this unless you're able to meet the standard of the hardship.
No, and where we see a lot of the abuse here is these parent loans, where the parent takes out a loan and they and the student are both liable, and then if the student can't make the payments, then you've got the parent getting bank accounts garnished, wages garnished. There was a situation just the other day where, unfortunately, the student, single mother of three, died. And all of a sudden, we've got the banks coming after the parents for $100,000. And these are people that were basically ready to retire, and now they've got a debt, and the bank will not help them at all, because we don't have any programs for private student loans that the banks have to use to help people pay.
That's just crazy. And you know what's so sad about that is that where's the humanity on all this? Are you telling me that this bankers can't see that this is a hardship situation, that this is an unusual circumstance? This isn't a bunch of deadbeats. This is a situation where somebody has died, and this is their solution to take these people property away.
Now, in the example I just gave, that was on CNN, I think, last week. So with a lot of publicity, the bank may make an exception. But the ones I worry about are they don't get publicity. They never know, and the banks just drain them of what they need to live on.
Yeah, and it's too bad that, like you said, a lot of these people don't get publicity. They can't get help. They don't know what to do. And Harold, we're out of time. Great stuff. Total eye-opener. Guys, if you have questions, check out haroldcampbell.com. Hal, thank you so much for stopping by.
Bert, enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
All right, you bet. Guys, great stuff there by attorney, bankruptcy expert Hal Campbell about what's going on, and you really need to be aware, and maybe getting a bankruptcy attorney to help you, it might be a start. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to Geico Radio. It's savings on the radio.
Call us, Steve. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just got a free rate quote on geico.com. Saved a ton, and it only took me 5 minutes and 12 seconds. I was wondering, is that some sort of record?
That's a good question. Let's have a look.
Not quite. Someone's got you beat by 8 seconds.
Still, that's quite fast.
Well, what if I told you I only use one hand?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
Bert Martinez here, and this is a special edition of Money for Lunch. I'm side by side with the amazing Kelly LeBrock. Kelly LeBrock is an international actress, model, known for the Pantene Girl, Don't Hate Me Because I'm Beautiful.
Don't hate me because I'm still beautiful.
I love it. Don't hate me because I'm still beautiful. Hard to Kill.
Hard to watch.
Oh, Lady in Red.
Woman in Red.
Woman in Red. All right. And Weird Science.
Weird Science. That was a fun movie.
Man, how many young men did you motivate in Weird Science?
I think I motivated them in the wrong department, but I think there are a few motivated. It's nice. It's an honor.
It is. Well, what's amazing to me is it's become an iconic film.
Yes, it has.
It's how old is that film now?
It's about 28 years, 30 years.
30 years old, and it still brings you a lot of attention.
And joy.
Joy
to everybody.
It does.
And the 80s were a great time. They were innocent, and we were having fun, and I think that the films that were made in those days have a quality that we don't get in the films today.
I agree. Not only where I think they were more creative because there wasn't so much technology, and I think that the acting was even better back then. Today, it seems like it depends quite a bit on technology.
Well, special effects. There was a reality to the stories. There was a personable thing that people could relate to, that we understood about families and their dysfunctions. And John Hughes was the captain of that.
John was incredible. I'm trying to think of all the John Hughes movies, and they all had a great little theme to them. They were all family friendly. They were all fun to watch.
Yeah, no, he was a great talent, and it's a terrible shame.
Yes. All right, so let me ask you this. Okay, you have reached a certain level of success, right? And everybody knows your success stories, but I'd like to maybe hear something that people don't usually know. Tell me about some of the struggles. Did you ever have a time in your career where you were almost ready to hang it up and quit?
I still am. No, when I was modeling, I was a big star in Europe as far as modeling. When I went to New York, and nobody would use me for 6 months. I did not work. I was told that I was too exotic, my mouth was too big, my photographs were too European, and they didn't want anything to do with me. I've written a book. I've written 27 chapters of some pretty intense stories, and I think that when that book comes out, I will be well received, because my life has not been as people think it has.
Right. They look at you and they say, "Oh, look, she's gorgeous, she's glamorous. Oh, look how successful she is." But we don't always get to hear the backside of how you became successful, right?
Yeah. Well, it will be out, and I'm sure there'll be some people upset about it. But it's the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help them God.
I love it. All right. So, when you look back at your career,
that didn't take long.
So, when you look back, are there some movies that you wish you never would have done, or are there some movies that you looked at and you wish you could have do over again?
I don't think you can do anything over again. I really wanted to play the role in the Michael Douglas movie. What was the one where the woman comes in and destroys his life?
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
Oh, yeah.
I was up for that. But they were concerned because I hadn't done anything. And then I also went up for Ghostbusters, and Woman in Red hadn't come up yet. I think that would have been a cool one to do. I turned down Beetlejuice, which I think was a mistake. But I've always sort of ruled by my heart. It's never been about being famous. So it was easy to give it up for my family, too. So.
Well, that's smart, too. Let's talk about that. You know, people always hear, do what you love to do and then the money will follow. Do you agree with that advice?
Absolutely, because if you're doing things just for the money, that's the wrong reason, and money doesn't rule my life. You always have to go with your heart.
I love that. All right, so when, let's say, somebody's out there struggling, talking about, you know, some of our viewers here, maybe some of our young viewers, people who've been out there, maybe they're trying to get their book out there, maybe they're trying to get into modeling or acting or whatever it is they're trying to get into, and maybe they're struggling. Any advice that you would give to them as far as dealing with struggling or obstacles?
Struggling is a great way to know yourself. Just never give up. You can never give up, and always believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will.
Kelly, that's amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for stopping by, and great hanging out with you. Side by side here with the amazing Kelly LeBrock. Still gorgeous, still exotic looking.
At least I still sort of look the same. And I can move my face.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
Welcome back to Geico Radio. It's savings on the radio.
Call us, Steve. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just got a free rate quote on geico.com. Saved a ton, and it only took me 5 minutes and 12 seconds. I was wondering, is that some sort of record?
That's a good question. Let's have a look.
Not quite. Someone's got you beat by 8 seconds.
Still, I mean, that's quite fast.
Well, what if I told you I only use one hand?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
Guys, we are back. Hey, that's a great little clip that I did with Kelly LeBrock, and as you can tell, it was done live, and it's one of my favorite clips. Kelly LeBrock, just a really neat individual, and we got to talk, I don't know, about 30 minutes after that, and she was just a really neat person to get to know. All right, so let's talk about something really important. Let's talk about what's happening out there in labor, big labor racket being exposed by my next guest, David Bago. David is a best-selling author, and his latest book is The Devil at Our Doorstep, and I'm excited to have him on the show. I think that this is going to be a very one of those great conversations that's going to really help people understand what's going on. David Bago is the president and CEO of Executive Management Services, an employee advocate against SEIU, and the author of The Devil at the Doorstep. David Bago, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Well, thank you, Bert. I appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure.
All right, so let's talk about this real quick. First of all, I always ask this of my authors. What was the catalyst that finally got you to write the book? I mean, what was it that you wanted? You know, what was the thing that finally, made you write the book?
Well, Bert, I wrote it because I was just horrified by the SEIU and the tactics they used against my company, my employees, and my customers, and what's going on behind the scenes in America. And I felt like I needed to wake America up because it's the corruption and the intimidation is just horrible. And I just, I've got a family and kids, and I'm concerned about the future of them, and I'm concerned about the future of this country. And I just, as I went through this, I had to sit down and write about it because I want America to survive and I want it to wake up.
Absolutely. And for you guys who are not familiar with the acronym SEIU, it's the Service Employees International Union. This is one of America's biggest labor unions, representing almost 2 million workers in over 100 occupations, and they're massive. I mean, these guys are now extended into Canada, so it shows you how big they've gotten. And this is a very this is literally the story of David and Goliath.
Well, it is, Bert, and they came after me, and my company is a commercial cleaning company. We're a janitorial company that I started in Indianapolis in 1989, and we've grown to the point. I started cleaning 6,000 square office space by myself. Today we're in 38 states, so we became a target of the SEIU. And back in 2006, they had a business plan called a corporate campaign that they would target certain areas, and at that time it was Indiana, Ohio, into Illinois, and some into Missouri and Pennsylvania, where they wanted all the major cleaning companies, us being one, to sign what's called a neutrality agreement that would take away my employees' rights to a secret ballot election and go to card check, which is basically they get a bare majority of your people to sign union cards, and you're automatically unionized. And to facilitate that, I would have to give them a list of all my employees and their home addresses so they could go to their homes and intimidate them until they signed the cards. And I told them, I said, look, I'm not anti-union. If you want to have an election, I'll live with it, but I'm not going to sign this because this is un-American and it's immoral. And they looked at me and they said, you're going to sign it. If not, we're going to attack you. And I said, well, I'm not going to. And they did, and we had a 4-year battle, and we won the battle. And Bert, I got to see behind the scenes how they use corrupt politics and politicians, how they use clergy people against you. They use little kids against me in my neighborhood on Halloween. They used the press against me. They used the National Labor Relations Board against me, OSHA, and it was a battle, but we prevailed. And again, I want the American people to know what's going on.
All right, so let's talk about this. Okay, so these guys came to you, and obviously it just boggles my mind that they would come to a seasoned entrepreneur, business person, and say, hey, listen, sign this agreement that basically allows us to have a bunch of power over your company. First of all, that in itself has got to be a crazy thing. I mean, who in their right mind would sign this?
Well, Bert, I was the only major company that didn't do it. And the reason they sign it is because this corporate campaign, which they call death by 1,000 cuts, they force a company to spend so much money. I mean, we spent close to $1 million just in attorney fees, not including our own time and other resources we had to use. But it's also psychological intimidation, and there's a lot of people out there, and many, many business people, probably 95% of them, that will not go through this. It's easier just to sign the agreement and give in to the union, and the unions know that. And the unions don't care about the members. This has nothing to do with the members.
That's been proven so many times that the unions really are just really in it for the money. This is really about two things: money and power, and they really stopped serving the members. They stopped serving the members many, many, many years ago.
Oh, you're exactly right. And they get their power through political influence. And, I mean, they had Evan Bayh, who was a senator here in Indiana at the time, call some of our biggest customers here in Indiana and ask them to cancel our contracts unless I signed the neutrality agreement. And thank God our customers believed in us and stood up and told him no. And they used clergy people that would camp outside of buildings we cleaned and shut them down, shut the entrances down so people couldn't get in and out. And they protested against us, saying that we abused people, we mistreated them, we forced them to use hazardous chemicals and dangerous equipment. And this is all the kind of stuff that most business people, it's easier just to sign the neutrality agreement.
And I want to talk about this a little bit. I want to emphasize this: is that this is pure and simple intimidation. This is pure and simple. This is no different than back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s when mobsters would force you to pay protection because you didn't want to go through the pain and suffering of having to battle the situation. You didn't want to go through, spend the money and deal with the stress and heartbreak that you have to deal with. And so luckily, David, you had the emotional fortitude, you had the inner strength and the financial ability to really weather the storm, because a lot of people aren't in your, they don't have those elements, because it really takes everything. It takes all of those. It's an emotional, mental, as well as financial fight.
Well, it really is, and I believe I got the mental and fortitude part from my mom and dad. They brought me up the right way and taught me the right things, and they taught me to be competitive and not to back down to bullies, and so I thank them for all those things. And we've been successful as a company, but we've done it by doing just the opposite of what the union accused us of, that we don't take care of people, and that we actually take care of our people. We as a cleaning company, which isn't happen a lot in our industry, we started offering benefits and health care back in the 90s. And, but they don't care. They attack you anyway. They don't care if you're a good company or not. All they see is potential new membership and the dollar signs that they can get out of that new membership.
That's right. All right, the book is called The Devil at Your Doorstep, and you can find it at Amazon or wherever good books are sold, The Devil at Your Doorstep. Now, let me ask you this. Do you feel somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for, fulfilled? It has to be somewhat rewarding to know that this book is doing so well, and it's really been received with a lot of positive review.
Oh, yeah, it has, and by the way, it's The Devil at Our Doorstep, and people can go to the devilatourdoorstep.com, and you can actually buy it at a discount there, or they can go to Amazon. But, yeah, it has been well received, but I'm going to be honest, Bert, I think it should be even more well received if it could get national exposure in the national media, but unfortunately, the national media is either sympathetic with a lot of the union initiatives or they're afraid of them. And I talk about this in my book. Glenn Beck, you know who Glenn Beck is. We believe, and we have seen correspondence from the SEIU against Fox News, that the reason Beck's not there anymore is because they went after Fox's advertisers and told Fox, unless you get rid of Beck, we're going to continue to do this. Well, Fox started losing revenue, so they kind of just started pushing Beck out. And this is what they do to companies. And it's really sad that we can't get the truth out in the country because of things like this.
Absolutely. You know what? The media, because, and the example you gave was a perfect example. The media doesn't care. They just, they'll put content out there for anybody to watch, look at, if it's controversial, if whatever, because it gets ratings. Now, you start going after their money, you start attacking their their profits, and then, yes, they're going to behave in a different way. And they don't want to deal with it. I mean, if anybody, what's this guy's name? Murdoch. He's got the power, and he certainly has the money. He could fight this, but they choose not to. And it amazes me how sometimes these massive billion-dollar corporations kowtow to these unions. Yes, these unions are powerful, but Fox News is not unheard of. They have a little bit of a they have a little bit of a following. At least 5 or 6 people watch them every day, I think.
You're right. It's crazy to me that people won't stand up for what's right and do the right things. I looked at it from the standpoint, I had to spend a lot of money, but I did it for the right reasons. I did it for my company, I did it for my employees, and I did it for my customers. And we need more people across this country to stand up and do the right things.
Yes, and we're going to end on that note. I think that's the perfect way. Again, the book is called The Devil at Our Doorsteps, The Devil at Our Doorsteps, and you can find it at Amazon or go to thedevilatourdoorstep.com. And David, thank you for doing the right thing. Thank you for standing up for what you believe in. May God bless you and God bless America, and look forward to have you back again another time.
Well, thanks, Bert, and I appreciate you having on, and God bless you and what you're doing. Keep up the good work.
All righty. Guys, we're off and running. Great stuff there by CEO David Bago. And his fight against big labor. They were trying to really put a lot of pressure on him. You just got to go get the book. You're not going to believe the stuff that he documents in that book. It will freak you out, and you got to just go do it. And sometimes, as he said, doing the right thing isn't easy, but you do it anyway. I mean, bottom line is, a lot of things in our lives are never easy. You do it anyway, and you do these things because they're not easy. Right? That is what America was built on. I mean, you look at American history, the real American history was built on doing things that people said could not be done, on doing the impossible. Here in America, we do the impossible every day. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Jeremy and Melanie talking about you and your health right after this. No, we're not talking about health. We're talking about you and your real estate. Duh. Sorry about that. So Jeremy and Melanie Heath talking about you and your real estate right after
Welcome
this.
back to Geico Radio. It's savings on the radio.
Call us, Steve. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just got a free rate quote on geico.com. Saved a ton, and it only took me 5 minutes and 12 seconds. I was wondering, is that some sort of record?
That's a good question. Let's have a look.
Not quite. Someone's got you beat by 8 seconds.
Still, I mean, that's quite fast.
Well, what if I told you I only use one hand?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
Hey, guys, we are back. My next guest, Jeremy and Melanie Heath. They are the power couple, the power duo behind Texas All-Cash Home Buyers, a private real estate investment firm that offers no obligation, all-cash payouts for homes. They specialize in fast sales in less than 24 hours and quick closing in 7 days or less. Homeowners who choose Texas All-Cash Home Buyers are unburdened of tough financial obligations such as pending foreclosures, unaffordable major home repairs, judgment or tax liens, unwanted, inherited properties, and unwanted rental properties. Jeremy and Melanie, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Hey, Bert. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right. So let's talk about this. What got you guys going in business? What was the thing that attracted you to this industry?
Yeah, but well, I guess you could probably tell from my accent. I'm pretty sure I've still got my Australian accent, hopefully. But I'm originally not from the Well,
yeah, I was thinking that you were from northern Texas. But, okay, I see the Australian. Yes, I can see how the Australian thing works, too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I get that all the time. But, yeah, so I came over to the U.S. in about 2006. And my wife, Melanie, is actually originally from San Antonio, where we're based out of now. And I guess for me, when I first came to the U.S., I had a corporate job, and I was in the corporate world, and that's what brought me here. And I met Melanie at work because she was working with the same company. We got married in 2008, and I guess it was right around the time, I can remember the moment clearly, we were heading for our honeymoon down to Mexico, and I was in a bookstore at the airport, and it had dawned on me, wow, I'm going to be in the U.S. for the rest of my life. And it was probably the first time I'd really realized that Australia was, probably further away than ever. And I'd realized that my new home was here. And so when I was in that bookstore, I stumbled across a book on real estate. And I thought to myself, man, it'd be really cool to get into real estate. And, I need something that's going to give Mel and I some more flexibility to go to Australia and be between both countries when we need to. And that's really what got me started. And after I'd read that first book, I got back from the honeymoon and I was driving Melanie crazy because I just kept reading more and more books, and I'd keep talking to her about, we've got to do real estate. And so Melanie sort of came up with the idea, hey, well, wouldn't it be good to maybe get a mentor or a coach that could help us with this? And so we searched and we came across a guy by the name of Tim Taylor. And he's still currently our success coach and real estate coach. We've worked with him for the last 6 years. But Tim himself, he has a real estate mentoring business, and before starting that, he had done more than 300 rehab properties himself. He'd also owned large apartment complexes. And so we found Tim and went through his program, and that really was what gave us a big head start in building out the business that we have today. Because the business that we currently have today is very similar to the model that Tim had once implemented himself. And I guess, the way that we started, if I was to take you through the journey, it started slowly with me doing it part-time and Melanie doing it full-time. And we sort of stumbled along like that for about 18 months, and I wasn't getting much sleep. And then we suddenly realized, wow, this is maybe something that we could do as a full-time gig, and maybe we can make this work. So probably about 18 months into it, I decided to leave my company, my corporate job, and that's when Melanie and I really went full force together to try and build the business out. And then we worked together for about 2 years doing that, slowly growing, and then we got to a point where we realized, man, we don't have any time to really relax and have much fun ourselves. We need some help in doing this. And so we started to slowly build out our team. And so today where we stand, we've got, in addition to Melanie and I, who are both full-time, we've also got 3 full-time U.S. resources. We have a part-time resource, and then we also have a virtual assistant who's full-time from the Philippines that helps us. And that's sort of our team as it stands today.
Wow, that's nice. And what I like about this, too, is that it really is something that you guys did slowly. Like you said, for the first 18 months, Melanie was doing it full-time, you're doing it part-time, and you kind of grew it slowly and surely. And also, the other smart thing is that you guys got yourself a mentor or a consultant or a coach, whatever you want to call it, somebody who could say, okay, do this, now do this, now take this other step, and really helped you guys speed up the process, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the game changer for us is really our contact with Tim. And, it's sort of amazing when we look at the business we've got today and the time it's taken, but it's really because we've had somebody show us the way.
Now, okay, so let's talk about this real quick. How many homes do you guys purchase every year?
So far, since we first started, we've purchased over 120 homes since we first started the business. Last year, we did 36 homes, and this year we're on track to do, 40 to 50 homes. So we're probably getting up to around 3 to 4, houses a month consistently that we're doing at the moment.
Gotcha. All right, so now have you guys gone back, since you guys have been married, have you gone back to Australia a couple of times?
Yeah, we get back like every at least once a year, sometimes twice, and I'm also lucky that I also have family members that come over here. And an interesting offshoot, I guess, of the business is my sister and her husband, who are based in Australia. They're planning to move over here with their 1-year-old daughter, and we're going to start up our next phase of the business, which is an operation in Austin, which would be great.
Oh, I love Austin. Gotta love Austin. All right, so Melanie, let me ask you. Here you are. You're a Texas girl, and you get connected with Jeremy. And what did you think about Australia?
I think it's a great place. I love it. It's very beautiful. It's of course, far to travel, but I love being there when we are there. But yeah, I'm through and through Texan, so I kind of told him up front, if you're going to be with me, you got to stay here in Texas with me.
Oh man! All right, so Melanie, when he came to you and said, "Hey, I want to start doing this real estate business. Let's look at this real estate business," what was going through your mind?
I was pretty excited. My parents owned a business, throughout their whole adult life. So I've only known my parents to own a business, and I worked with them for a while, and I always knew that I had the entrepreneurial spirit. And I could also see it in Jeremy. So I was pretty excited with the idea.
Yeah, and real estate is one of my favorite things to acquire and play around with, and I have not done it to the extent that you guys have, but it is one of those things that when you look at somebody who has a track record of wealth, sooner or later, real estate starts mixing into that portfolio, because it's just one of those steps to having a kind of a passive entrepreneurial lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree 100% with that, Bert. And I guess one way that I look at it is, if you think of all of the products that exist on the planet today, the one product that every single person touches, without a doubt, is a home. And so, I see the real estate industry as the largest industry by far, with the biggest, most valuable products that everybody owns or rents or, lives in some way, which is what creates such an abundance of opportunity as an area to get into.
Absolutely. Real estate is right there along with food, right? I mean, you either have to rent it or buy it, or, you have to use it somehow. And really the same thing with food. It's one of those things that you kind of, can't live without. Let's talk about your process a little bit. Walk me through this. How does the process work when you guys get involved?
Yeah, so we have a simple 6-step process which is outlined on our website. But basically, once we have a contract, an agreement with a buyer and a contract, we can close with cash in as little as 7 days, which is really our main offering that we have to people, because what we're really looking for are people that are looking to sell their house very quickly for cash. And so the process, from start to finish, it really starts with a seller having that need to sell their property quickly. It may be they have inherited a house that they want to sell quickly, or maybe they're facing foreclosure, or maybe they have a house that requires a lot of repairs, and so they're looking to sell that house quickly. A lot of the time, the house may be a situation where it's a burden for them, and they're looking to get out of it. So they would then contact us, which is the next step, and they can contact us either via phone or via our website, and our website is TexasAllCashHomeBuyers.com. And once they've contacted us,
TexasAllCashHomeBuyers.com. I just want to give out that one more time. All right, so somebody contacts you, and they, obviously you have different type of buyers, because if you have a buyer who just inherited the property, they're going to have a different motivation than the person who's facing foreclosure. And so maybe the person who's facing foreclosure might sell it to you at a deeper discount than the person who just inherited the property. So is that what you're looking for? Is you looking for motivated people who are willing to give you a fairly substantial discount?
Yeah, typically for us, we are investors, so if we're going to purchase a property, there needs to be enough room in there for us to buy it, fix it, and sell it, and still make a profit. But regardless of the situation, when we evaluate the property, we have a standard formula that we would follow to come up with what the cash offer can be, so that it's the best offer available to the seller, but it's also something that we know, is going to be profitable to us.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is one of the things that I want to kind of make a little touch on, is that you have your standards. This is what we're looking for, and if it doesn't sit within these parameters, that you just kindly pass it on, and you wait for the right opportunities, right?
Yeah, and typically, like, we may have to go through 20 or 30 leads to find a seller that actually is in the situation that works with with the offer that we have available. So it's definitely a numbers game, but also on the other side of that, I can say without a doubt, for every single seller that we've worked with, once we get to that closing, they're so grateful for the service that we've provided them. So for them to get the cash and to get the house away from them in such a simple way.
Right. All right. So you bring up this other question. So how long does it take to complete the process? So let's say you've gone through 20 or 30 leads. You now found the opportunity, the seller. It's all a great match. And from day one to day whatever, how long does it take?
Yeah. So from start to finish, from the time they contact us, we would call them back within 24 hours to discuss the property in more detail and schedule an assessment. And let's say that we schedule the assessment for the following day. Once we come out and assess the property, we assess the repairs that are needed and the value of the property. And then 24 hours after that first assessment, when we walk the property with the seller, we then can provide them with a cash offer. So, from the time they call to the time they get the offer from us, it could be as little as 2 days. And then at the point that we have agreed on the offer and have a contract in place, we can then close within 7 days after that. So, in as quick as 10 days from the time that somebody is called, we can the seller can have the cash in their hands.
Gotcha. All right. So walk me through this real quick. What do you guys do with the property? I mean, if you guys are buying 3 or 4 homes a month, are you guys flipping some of them? Are you keeping some of them and putting them out for rent? What is your strategy with the acquisition?
Yeah, so our primary strategy is fix and flip. So we'll find a property that needs repairs. We then have, our contractor crews that come in and fix the properties and get them into a state where they could be sold on the retail market. And when I say retail market, the typical buyer that's buying them is a first-time home buyer who's bank qualified. And so from our perspective, when we're fixing those houses, there's a certain standard that they have to be at for the banks to lend on them. So, we're putting the money in to get them up to that standard. And then once they're available for sale, we list them on the MLS. And, typically the buyers come through realtors, because the realtors are the ones that have these first-time home buyers looking for homes.
Yeah, no, I love that. All right, so let me ask you this. Are there any kind of hidden fees or commissions that, if someone sells to you, or is it just a straight, look, here's your cash offer, we'll close you in 7 days, or what are they looking at?
Yeah, because we're investors and we're not realtors, there's no hidden fees or commissions, which is one of the benefits of dealing with us. Another benefit as well is, a lot of people, especially people that have these houses that need repairs, they don't really want a bunch of people trudging through the house and a bunch of showings and things like that. So, we eliminate all of that as well because, we are investors and we are the ones that are buying the property. So we just have to look at it once, we'll give you an offer, and the offer is what the offer is, and we can close quick.
Gotcha. So if a homeowner has a bunch of repairs and they don't have any money, that's not a problem for you. That sometimes is one of the hidden gems in a situation, right?
Yeah, that's actually what I would consider to be a perfect situation for both the seller and for us, because they're really the situations where we can create these win-win solutions where everyone walks away happy with the deal that we've come up with. Because I guess from the seller's perspective, they have a property that they cannot sell on the retail market because the property does need repairs. So all of the buyers that are bank qualified would not be able to purchase that property in its current condition. So the person selling it really can only sell it to investors who have cash to purchase it. So, we're able to then assess the property and give them that cash offer. And so they're getting money and getting out from the house that needs repairs, but we're also getting a deal that we can then remodel and pass on to an end buyer.
And we've picked up homes that have had major foundation issues. The HVAC has blown out, mold problems, maybe even fire damage. So it's not just limited to it needs paint, carpet, new sheetrock. I mean, we do take on homes that need quite a bit of work.
Gotcha. Now, do you guys cover all of Texas? Do you just stay in Houston? What's your geography?
Yeah, our primary market at the moment is San Antonio, and then we are launching at the end of the year, as I mentioned, in the Austin market. And I do have plans in the future, probably 12 to 18 months from now, I'd like to expand into the Houston market as well, because I see sort of San Antonio, Austin, and Houston, they're also geographically close to each other. It would make sense for us to move into that market down the road.
Yeah. So now are you guys going to move from San Antonio to Austin, or are you going to stay there in San Antonio? Should I just ask Melanie that question?
I think physically we'll be here in San Antonio, and what we would do is, like Jeremy said, at the end of the year, we're going to go into Austin, and so we're planning on training his sister and brother-in-law in the business to kind of work that market, but we'll be very involved with it. So we'd probably do something similar for the Houston market.
Gotcha. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to reach out to you, they can go to TexasAllCashHomeBuyers.com. Is that right?
Yeah, that's our primary website where they could contact us. And they also can call us directly on our office line, and the number for that is 210-698-6166.
Gotcha. So, guys, if you're in the San Antonio market and you want to talk to Jeremy or Melanie, check them out at TexasAllCashHomeBuyers.com. Jeremy and Melanie, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bert.
All righty, guys. Guys, we're off and running. Great stuff there about you and your real estate, how somebody like these guys, this husband and wife team at the TexasAllCashHomeBuyers.com are really building their dream as well as building up their their business, as well as helping people with their home situation. So check them out. Guys, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Check out my tribute to Robin Williams on moneyforlunch.com. And as always, remember, you were created.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.